Hey friends, this is Parag from Roma International, where our mission is to continuously find new ways to help improve ourselves, our business, and then help apply those same principles to our friends, our colleagues, our clients, and help them take themselves and their businesses to the next level. All right. So with that said, I have a really awesome tutorial for you today. Really amazing topic. Something that we all, I think, struggle with from time to time, and we just need a refresher, right? So today's topic is about effective time management. So many of us struggle with this, and it can help make us believe that things are spiraling out of control and we're just being unproductive. And no matter what we do, it feels like we're just not getting anywhere, right? We're just constantly busy fighting fires. So I wanted to touch on this topic again. And this is, again, a part of the series of training designed to help you gain clarity and control over your life and your business, right? So if you haven't seen the other trainings that I've done, please go visit my blog. There should be a link down there below. It's www.paragsurati.com/blog. And there's a few other tutorials there for you for like a strategic way of thinking or creating a strategic roadmap and a few others with that. Okay. So with that said, going back to today's topic about effective time management and ultimately productivity, I'll start off with some questions that I know you guys can relate to. Is do you sometimes feel overwhelmed? You feel like you have so many things that are just going on and you can barely make the meetings that are scheduled for tomorrow, let alone the stuff that you want to do to help improve your productivity and ultimately your business, and even your divisions within your organization, right? You really have no time to do that. You feel that you're constantly out there fighting fires, and without it, and there's constant bombardment from either your clients or internal manufacturing facilities, or supply chain, your staff, or whatever it is that you just basically you can't even breathe at points, right? You just welcome the end of the day or the end of the week saying, okay, let me just unwind and have a glass of wine or whatever it is, right? um, and I know you're not alone, and perhaps your peers or your colleagues or your staff members feel the same way. They feel burnt out. They feel overwhelmed, saying, "Hey guys, I can't keep doing this anymore. I'm just running so lean. I don't know what to do, but I feel overwhelmed." Right? So we've all been there. I definitely have been there, and from time to time I catch myself getting into that place again. I in my career that I had at corporate, basically I managed multiple members with multiple teams. I was juggling multiple manufacturing facilities or supply chain, not supply chain, but manufacturing facilities. Um, Tons of projects that I was working on the side, and was nearly impossible for me to be productive uh, during that time frame because I was constantly fighting fires and making everybody else's priority my priority, right? And I know you guys can relate to that. Just recently starting a business, of course, there's a lot of moving pieces to the puzzle: creating the website, creating the products and services, managing costs, sales, marketing, amongst multiple other things. And it's a constant juggle to try to figure out, like, okay, what do I focus on today that moves the needle? Like, at the end of the day, I'm doing all this stuff, but I feel like, man, I really haven't gotten anywhere. I haven't made any progress or traction. It just feels very unproductive, right? So naturally, going through my notes and some of the seminars and books that I've read before, I'm like, man, there's got to be a solution to help me be a little bit more proactive and a little bit more productive in my approach to my day-to-day activities, and so that I can see the progress that I've made and not just be completely burnt out at the end of the day, right? So with that, with the the hodgepodge of things that I've learned over the last few years, I'm gonna explain, or I'm gonna show them some of those to you guys here soon. But what it's done for me is it's helped me really focus in on my tasks, and why I'm wanting to do those tasks, and and at least help me feel like I'm being productive in specific areas that I want to be. So it helps me provide me progress, right? And I'm picking those tasks so that if I do, you guys have known the 80/20 rule, but if I do 20% of the tasks that have the most weight to them, then I can get 80% of the results, which is amazing, right? And everybody should strive for that. And then I can, of course, at the end of the day, manage my time more effectively. So I don't feel like I'm completely burnt out through the day. I feel like I've worked a full 8, 10 hours a day or more. But I feel even better because I've made progress and I don't feel like I've just been unproductive the entire day trying to fight fires and making somebody else being in reactive mode, right? So the old way of doing things, and I still kind of catch myself doing this a lot, is I just make a list of all the things that I want to get done tomorrow, right? Even if that's a step in the next direction, but sometimes we don't even make a list. Sometimes we're like, you know what, I'm just gonna figure things out tomorrow as they come. I'll address them. I got about 3 or 4 of these meetings lined up, and then I'll squeeze in whatever I can in the middle, right? But sometimes we don't even make a list, and then feel like, and figure, why are we not so productive? Well, obviously because we're not planning to be productive, right? So if we're constantly in reactive mode, attending meetings, answering phone calls, emails, and other people's, coming up to us, approaching us for direction or whatever else, making everything else a priority and everyone else's priority our priority, and not something that we want to do, of course it's going to feel like we're being unproductive, right? What I do now is I make sure that I dedicate specific time to the activities that I know will provide me progress, and I can do this regularly. And so at the end of the day, now what I feel like, I'm like, okay, you know what? And when I share it with my family or my friends, I'm like, I've actually made progress today. I've done X, Y, and Z, and that's actually moved me in this direction. And yes, there's going to be stuff that comes up in the middle that are going to be urgent, and we can certainly accommodate time for that. But at least we're making progress, and slow progress daily over a span of a month, you will be able to see how much progress you've made, instead of feeling like after a month or even like worse yet, a year, saying, oh my gosh, where did the year go, and how, like, where what have I done this year? And like I feel like I've been just standing still, and it sucks. And I know feeling that I know all too well. So I wanted to share this with you for all my busy entrepreneurs and friends that feel like, hey, I feel like I've not been productive. I haven't made any progress, and it's a sickening feeling, actually, right? So I wanted to share this with you guys. I know you guys know this intuitively, but it doesn't hurt to have a refresher. And also, more importantly, what I want you to keep in mind is knowledge is not power. Applied knowledge, putting it into action, is power. So let's actually do this on a regular basis, and you'll be pleasantly surprised on how much progress you'll make over a span of a week, a month, a year, when you put principles in place and you actually do them. So I encourage you to not just hear me, but actually do this stuff. All right. So without further ado, let me explain to you that just the step by steps, and they're very simple steps. But again, it's applying them versus just intuitively knowing them or understanding what's going on, right? So I've been guilty about that, and probably on a daily basis, I would imagine. But what's called the touch it once rule, where basically if you're gonna address something, address it, touch it once, do it from beginning to end, or at least do it to the point where you've made progress, or you've achieved what you wanted to achieve for that task for that day. And I'll explain that in a little shortly. But we spend a lot of time jumping from one task to another task on a daily basis because we make something else or someone else's priority our priority, right? Whether the email comes up or a phone call or like your peers will come up to you for and ask you for guidance or direction, or your boss will come to you and say, hey, I need this and this. Of course there's going to be some urgent issues, but imagine the wasted time that we had focusing and aligning ourselves with the activity at hand, and then shifting it completely to something else, doing that, and then shifting back to here and shifting it somewhere else over the span of a day. And we probably spend anywhere between 15 minutes, which is on probably the low side, to a full hour of wasted productivity, just juggling between one project to the other project, just reshifting our focus. That's it. Because the way the human mind works is that we can't multitask, right? We do better at things that we focus on and give our full attention to and finish that task. The multitasking we can only do up to a certain point, and after that, you guys know it as well as I do, is going from my email, sorry, something that I'm working on, and all of a sudden, bing, something pops up in my email. Oh, let me go check the email. You reshift your focus to that. Even though that's going to take you 5 minutes, now you come back to a certain project that you're working on and going back to like, okay, what was I trying to do? Okay, yeah, going back into it. That's going to take another 5 minutes. Doing that back and forth, 5-10 times a day. I mean, that is a lot of wasted productivity that you could have saved had you basically scheduled time for it and not necessarily jump from task to task. So these are very destructive. So what we need to do is assure that we just touch it once and dedicate time to that particular activity, right? Second thing I want you to focus on is make a daily list. Now, we said that sometimes we just go in and not necessarily, we just like, all right, whatever comes my way, I'll just address that as it comes, and I'll figure things out in between. Let's actually make a list, and make a list based on like the 5 or 6 most important things that you want to get done tomorrow, right? And these are going to be items that are going to make allow you to make progress, and you know what those are. But whatever you think is going to allow you to make progress, schedule those things. And now they don't have to be a one-time thing. They could be a project that can be a week long or a month long. But whatever time you want to dedicate to that project, a portion of that project, let's figure out a time slot for that tomorrow. And then along with those 5 or 6 things, the next step is allocate a specific time. How much time is it really going to take for that particular activity? Now, a lot of times we're like, I don't know, it's going to take whatever month. No, let's schedule in roughly about an hour per each task, so that your 5 or 6 major category or major items that you want to focus on tomorrow, or the tasks that you want to focus on tomorrow, those are going to take up maybe about 5 or 6 hours of your time, dedicated time, right? And following that step would be, let's plan it. Let's register that. Now that we have, my 5 major things that I want to work on. I want to work on improving sales. I want to work on this letter for marketing. I want to work on this presentation for the boss, whatever it is. We need to dedicate the time for that, and the presentation is going to take approximately hour. My marketing campaign is probably going to take another hour. My sales forecasts and stuff like that, that's going to take 1 hour roughly, right? So if we schedule that time in and put it on our calendars, now it's dedicated time that we give ourselves in order to make progress in that area, right? And imagine what this is going to do for you. Like, we're going to focus in on doing this activity, and you're definitely going to make progress towards it because you've dedicated and you've allowed yourself time to do it and not necessarily be bombarded by other requests, right? Turn all those other requests off, and we'll get to that in a little bit. So register these time slots off. Now, do schedule in maybe about 2 1/2 hour slots. So maybe about an hour out of the day where you dedicate for miscellaneous type meetings, right? Miscellaneous type requests uh, that are normally coming from your staff level or your management. Make sure that you dedicate some of those so that your staff essentially knows, hey, when to approach you to come for whatever improvement items that they have or whatever requests that they have at that time. Also, let's dedicate our times for emails and phone calls, right? So like I said earlier, let's dedicate maybe 3 or 4 times out of the day where we have scheduled dedicated time to respond to emails. Outside of that, I know it's hard to do, turn it off, right? If it's urgent, they'll call you. And even if it's more urgent, they'll leave you a voicemail, right? Everybody has voicemail, they'll leave you a voicemail. And at that point, you can address urgent issues. But if you're addressing emails and phone calls at least 3 to 4 times a day, or so 2 to 4 times a day maximum, you will get to everything that you need to get to. Now, some might take longer than the others, but whatever time you feel like you need to dedicate to emails, do that. If you're addressing it 4 times a day, maybe you can do 15 minutes every time. If you're addressing it twice a day, maybe half an hour each time. So, I would recommend maybe an hour per email per day, and then phone calls, depending on the type of phone call, maybe a half an hour or something like that. But you know your business more better than I do. I'm just telling you, let's dedicate time to all those miscellaneous activities that take up a lot of our unproductive time, shifting back and forth, and just dedicated time to those. So again, we'll do that, and then let's prioritize. Last step is to prioritize our steps. So whatever we feel that is going to move the needle the most, let's schedule that first. Whatever is going to be the hardest thing to do, let's schedule that at the top of our list so that we approach it right at the beginning. If we save that for the end of the day, unfortunately, you'll be burnt out, or you'll be too tired, or it's just going to be too big of a task to take on at the end of the day compared to the beginning of the day. And then a few things will happen when you do that first thing in the morning or the first task of the day, and then you accomplish it. You'll just get this sense of accomplishment, of the sense of progress that'll provide you momentum to keep moving forward, right? And you'll feel like you've actually done something that day. So I put the most important task first for the highest results. It'll provide you a sense of control as well, right? And then I think that's it. So, and then plan time for improving your productivity as well, right? So of course, like I said, improving sales or marketing or whatever else, make sure that we plan time for those schedules, right? And then lastly is just data management, and everybody knows this, but make sure that you file away, store away emails and files accordingly. So if you need to pull them at a later date, that you know exactly where to pull them from. But that's kind of more of for a separate section. But ultimately, data management's relatively important in a sense that it helps you or get organized, whether it's sales bucket or marketing bucket or whatever else, especially in the emails, because the emails can get convoluted. So, all right, so those are very simple steps. Let's what I recommend we do is do this for the next 3 weeks. Again, learning something is one thing, and this is something that you've already know, but I'm as guilty as anyone else, where I just don't apply it on a day-to-day basis. But when I started doing this on a regular basis, I've started to see significant improvement over a span of time, right? 1 or 2 days, you're probably not going to notice a whole lot, but you're still going to be like, oh my gosh, I got something done. But over a week, when you reflect on what you got accomplished, or over a month, what you got accomplished, it'll blow your mind. Trust me. So let's practice doing this on a daily basis. Start by scheduling your day for tomorrow, right? Dedicate some times for emails, phone calls, any miscellaneous activity that you need to do, but make sure that we dedicate time for the things that are going to move the needle, that are going to be productive for us, right? Be flexible, of course. Urgent issues will come up, and in which case you'll need to address them. That's okay. But do that, and then as soon as you're done with those, come right back to the task at hand and address that right away, right? Or reschedule that so that you can do it at a later time within that day, whenever you had the flexible or the open time for miscellaneous type stuff, right? You don't have to be perfect. Let's just do this, and then we can tweak it as we go, right? That's what I did essentially. Don't overload yourself with more than 6 to 8 hours worth of like hardcore activity. Give yourself a break. Of course, you need time for other things as well, but let's at least get focused on dedicating some time to improving what we want to improve within our organization or division or whatever it is, right? And again, lastly, train yourself to measure like what I do is I write it in a journal or my calendar, and I'll reflect back on it every Sunday and see what progress I've made, right? So you need to measure it just to give yourself a sense of understanding of like what kind of progress you've made, and then do the same and help train your staff to do the same, and you can help them with that as well, so they can see the amount of progress that they've made, and plus you can see the amount of progress that they've made as well. So measure it at least once a week just to get a basic understanding, but even on a daily basis, when I reflect back on and just write down what I've accomplished that day, I sometimes surprise myself. I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't believe that I've gotten all this stuff done throughout the day. So please measure it, and I guarantee you, we will see progress over a span of 1, 2, and 3 weeks, right? So your assignment is to just basically just do this, plan it out, and measure it over a span of 3 weeks, and I guarantee you, you will see the progress that you want to see, okay? I hope that's been informative. Again, it's something that we all intuitively know, but we don't practice on a daily basis. So my job here was to make sure that not only understand it, but you apply it. So hopefully that was beneficial to you as it was for me. Again, the link's going to be below to so the instructions plus the remainder of the training in my blog. So if you have any questions, comments, feel free to contact me, let me know. All right, till next time.